Hey everyone, thanks for watching the previous videos. Thanks for all the comments and suggestions. This next video on the Retroid Pocket 3 is going to focus on just the Nintendo DS. That's a system that I completely ignored in my original video for a couple of reasons. Mostly just because I didn't think about playing it because it has two screens. I thought, what's the point? I didn't think it would work out really well, but I was wrong. And several people have asked me to do some DS videos, so here you go. Now, before we get started, I do want to point out, for all of this, I will be using an emulator called DraStic. Now, that is a paid emulator. It costs $4.99 on the Google Play Store, and it is well worth it. It comes with a ton of options. I will be playing all of these games with no frame skip, filter set to scale 2x, high resolution 3D rendering, and 16-bit rendering turned off. Now, if you do want slightly better frame rate in some of these games, you can turn 16-bit rendering on, or high resolution 3D rendering off, or of course, set to have no scale filter. Personally, I think the games work well. One thing I really like about this emulator, I'll show you when we get into a game. So, back to the launcher. Time for some Nintendo DS. Went ahead and put some games here over my favorites. We will start with Mario 64. Why not? So I've already got set up here with a save state, and you can see it's running at very nearly 60 frames per second. And you'll notice I have the second screen set up small down in the corner. And let's be honest, a lot of Nintendo DS games don't really utilize that second screen for a lot, so you're really not missing much if you do it that way. You can also set a couple of shortcuts. I've got shoulders set up for shortcuts, so if I want to swap the screens, I can easily do that. If I want to just have one screen, no problem. I can quickly do that, and I'll go ahead and take you through here at the beginning and show you actually have other choices for how to run these screens. And you can run them perfectly landscape. For some games that's handy, and of course you can swap them. Or, as I was doing it, landscape X1, so you choose one screen to be bigger than the other. And even better than that, you can completely edit that. You can scale both screens to whatever size you want, and this emulator saves all of that per game. So depending on the game, if you have a setup that you want to use, it's very convenient to do that. So play around with it. With all that out of the way, let's pop back into the game. Poor Yoshi. Alright, that's enough of Mario 64. Some people asked for some role-playing games, but before that, let's check out Yoshi's Island. And again, I do have a save state set up. You can see it's running great. I always hated his crying. And if for some reason you wanted to see that other screen, it really doesn't do much in this game. I think it's pretty easy to see that 2D games in this emulator run great. So if you want to play some 2D games on Retroid Pocket 3, you'll be set. Now, as I mentioned, some people asked to see some role-playing games, specifically Dragon Quest. So let's fire up Dragon Quest 4. Now you can see I've got it set to just one screen right now. But when the battle starts, I can't really see much. I'm missing the status of my character here. But you could do it this way. Of course, when you're here, having that map be so large is really pointless. They really only use it for your HP. So you may want to come in and change the screen layout to be Landscape X1. Of course, now it's too small to read, but you could go in and adjust that, set it to any size that works for you. You could even stretch it out a bit so that it overlapped the two screens, whatever works for you. If you don't want to see it, quick as that, it goes away. So, Dragon Quest IV obviously is going to run great. No need to watch me fight many more songs. Obviously, I checked the same is the case for Dragon Quest V, Dragon Quest VI. Dragon Quest IX is a bit different from the others. It's more modern rather than a retro rehash. Now again, you see how they've switched the screens. That's why you want to set yourself up with shortcuts. And for this game, at times, you definitely may want to have it set to show both screens side by side. It does make the screen smaller. You see they're constantly switching which screen is the more important one. Luckily, if we don't want to look at that map, we don't have to. You see the problem. For this game, I really think it usually works out best to have the two screens side by side. But certainly, this emulator runs the game just fine on Retroid Pocket 3. Jumping out of that, let's check out Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars. Now this one does run a little slower. Again, you could try some of those settings, adjust them, maybe get a few more frames per second, but I don't think it ran that much better, if at all, on the real Nintendo DS. Hop out of the car. If you wanted to have a look at the map in a large view, you could. Get back in. Be careful of the people. Anyway, for the most part, I think it runs quite well, very playable. Another game I want to show you is Metroid Prime Hunters, because first-person shooter on the DS is going to be pretty demanding. Now remember, I've got it running 2x scaling. I have all the graphical features that I can turned on, and to be honest, I think it's running very well. Plus, You've got a second stick, which you can use as first-person shooter mode. It really works well pretending that you've got a second stick. Now in this game, of course, that second screen is a bit too small for these messages, but I've got a shortcut set up here so I can quickly make them bigger to read them. Alright, I hope you've had your fill of Metroid Prime hunters. Let's finish this video by having a little fun. And there's nothing more fun than Mario Kart DS. And yes, even this small, the touchscreen works fine. I can select my modes, select my character, confirm. Missed my fast start. That's better. So close. All right. Okay, so that should do it for this video focused on Nintendo DS on the Retroid Pocket 3. I hope you liked it. If I missed any DS games that you really want to see me test out, let me know in the comments and check back in. I'm going to try to post a video focusing on a new system every day until I've gone through most of them, and I'll also be sure to point out which emulator I'm using so that you can quickly get your system set up and start playing. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.